Nope.
Okay, we're live, you guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Musetta Stone Book Club. This time around, we read and we will be discussing Karen's pick. This is a Chilbury Ladies Choir. As you guys can see, we all have different copies. So this is my copy, and this is Karen's copy, and this is Amanda's copy. So this is actually really exciting. Yours paperback, and then Karen and mine are hardback. Yeah, my one was really expensive, but I really do like this this artwork on the.
They're all absolutely lovely.
Yeah,
they're so pretty. Yeah, I love it.
Really pretty. And I have to say, it was my fault. I should have started reading this book a lot sooner than I did. I finished it. But my problem was I was supposed to finish Hagseed when I was in Tofino, and I just stopped reading when I got back, and I was like, oh, I should finish Hagseed first before I start on this. So it was like a mad rush. It was like just like 100 pages every day of reading. I got through it though. So.
Huh.
All right, but before we do that, Amanda, how are you doing? How is school?
I'm good. I'm getting back into the swing of things with school, and there's a musical this year, so we're gearing up for that. And a whole.
Oh yeah, and she's a Mrs. now.
I am a Mrs. now. I didn't change my name, so
That's
I'm
fine.
just.
You're still a Mrs.
Mrs. Chan now. Yeah. Not that it changes anything, because I was Mrs. Chan's 5 years ago when I started at school. So.
Yeah, but I mean that's why we didn't meet in August, because Amanda got married, and then went on a lovely, lovely vacation or honeymoon to Yes. Yeah. So that's why we didn't do it last month, this month. But hey, it's good though. Are you doing any new projects at school?
No, just the musical and taking on more kids with things back. Classes got smaller, so we had to like spread kids out. So now we went up 2 divisions. So now if I was like thin before with Tom, I am like done. I am minute to minute every day, and that's it.
So does this mean that they're using portables or something, or like how are they splitting up more classes?
We actually ended up we had a computer room, and we removed all the desks. Like they're the old school desks where you'd have a desktop. So we removed all that. We actually turned that into a classroom. It's fairly small, but it's meant for our K1 that only has 15 kids. And then we only have 1 portable, so we're lucky. We only need 1.
Okay.
So fingers crossed that we can go back to everybody being inside the school next year.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, and we got a new photocopier.
Is it laser? Is it color?
No, but it's new and it works. It doesn't break down every 20 copies, so it's great.
That's good.
One of those ones that when it jams, it actually tells you where the jam is.
Yes, it does. It tells us where the jam is, but it's in the same spot. It's in the same like 5 spots every single time. Yeah. So you're consistently just removing paper out and out. You're just wasting paper. So we finally got a new one.
Yay.
That's good. That's good.
Very happy.
Yeah, it's the small things that really count, right? Well, it probably was really expensive to buy anyways, but small things in our line of work, I guess. Karen, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm just a little tired from the startup and I'm at a new school, so I'm learning all the new names and all the new teachers and all the new schedule, just trying to do all of that and put it together. And it's a lot of energy output, but I'm hoping that now that I'm there, I can relax a little bit, that I can slowly start feeling comfortable with it. But
right. Are you just doing just strictly music?
Yep.
Nice.
So that's really nice.
That's awesome. So are you in charge of like choir and like ukulele and all that stuff?
So it's elementary music. So I haven't started a choir yet, but I plan to.
Nice.
Yay! So we'll see.
Yeah, because
ladies choir, because I don't want to enforce that stereotype just yet.
But I mean, like even before, when we were at Amanda's banquet, you were talking about like all your ideas about how you used to like get different like kind of like traditional folk songs from different languages and stuff. That sounds really interesting, right? Oh, yeah. And it gives the kids an opportunity to dive into a different culture, right?
Yeah, I have haven't done any plans for that yet. But I would love to do something where maybe we do like a hopping around the world kind of a thing. We get to listen to instruments from around the world and then sing songs from around the world, just to kind of be like, hey, we're not just us here in BC. We're also world. And not just Western music.
Yeah, no, I think that's a cool idea, especially like given like our current kind of global situation, we should be celebrating more of the diversity and the inclusion and the interest in different cultures more so than ever.
It's interesting too, because like if I ever do like a composer feature, the question is always like, where's the girls?
Yeah.
And then I'm almost waiting for that second one. I almost sarcastically be like, yeah, and did you notice they're all white too? I almost want to point out, like, these are all dead white guys.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just the way that history has gone and people in different cultures approach their music. So just,
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
But it is cool. Congratulations on your new school.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
And Matt, how are you?
I'm all right. I have September is like that weird month where like everyone comes back, and then I'm like, all right, so this whole month my schedule is just gone. I'm just gonna have to sit here and be like, all right, this is the schedule that I have tentatively planned. Hopefully it'll last. So far I've had to already like rearrange the same day 3 different times already. So yeah, it's just like one student's like, oh, I forgot that I'm in middle school now. So middle school is like an extra 20 minutes away from your house. So I can't actually get here right after school anymore.
I forgot I go to middle school.
Right? I was like, can I come later? I was like, no, you can't, because I am solidly blocked. Like, you know, this schedule was going to work based off of the fact that no one was going to change anything. But, you know, it always happens, and it's all right. Like I currently have this one student that I'm trying to like fit back in, and it sucks because it's either I have to maybe even let her go or open up a new day, and I don't want to work just for half an hour in a day.
That makes sense.
So we'll have to see, but you know, like no complaints. Like it's I think the smoothest September that I've had so far. So I think it's because most of my students are not new, so they're just like, you know, they're just strictly the same time. And a lot of because some of the problems last year was halfway through when they're like, oh, actually we have extra practices. So now it's okay. Once it's like December, January, February, when like things pick up, like for festival or for like, you know, soccer and sports, then it's going to be like, oh, okay, so I guess I won't see you for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Private lessons are funny that way, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, it's, you know, like we've all gone through it, you know, and I think it's a different world because I remember myself giving up things so that I wouldn't miss piano and not the other way around. But, you know, at the same time, I also understand that, you know, music is not at the forefront of everybody's mind. And I want to make it as easy for these parents and kids to still make it to a lesson. Yeah. So then that way they still, like, they don't find it as an inconvenience. They're like, oh, okay, you know, this is kind of cool. Even if they don't really understand how hard it is for me to balance and kind of rearrange things.
Kids are pretty busy doing a lot of different things. And, you know, they're trying to balance it. They're trying to figure it out. Which, I mean, is life, right? You just try and figure out your schedule. But sometimes you have to be like, okay, I get it. I'm not your number one.
Yeah. And it's like being okay with that, right? It's okay for me not to be number one. And like I said, like my philosophy is just, okay, as long as you enjoy doing this, I will do my best to facilitate changes as best as I can. Just let me know early, and I'll try my best.
Every person does music for different reasons. Some people it makes them feel good. Some people it's they want to strive to be excellent. Some people it's their friend is doing it, so they want to do it too.
Yeah.
Just different for doing it.
Yeah. But you know what? Like I think we all have that same kind of scheduling issue, right? Whether it's in school or out of school, it's just like, where do I fit in an extra practice? How do I meet these like clarinets after school? Like, are they all gonna come?
And then 2 of them were like, oh my God, I forgot. Well, even though I told you aside and said to your face, hey, school.
Yep, they will.
Yeah.
Half my trumpets today at a sectional today, half them showed up. And they were like, well, I guess we get help and they don't. I'm like, yep.
Well, you're gonna sound
Hey,
better. You put in the
yeah, hey, that's a really positive attitude, hey? Like, at least they weren't like, oh, well, the other half aren't here. Maybe we just shouldn't do this. They're just like, hey, we're just going to be better.
No, it was actually surprising. It came from the one kid I didn't expect it to because I've been fighting with him for years about music. And he's like, well, I guess we get help and they don't. I'm like, yep, you're right.
Mhm.
All right, pull out your trumpets. Don't do that. Don't put that there. Put the valve oil away. And then meet them.
All right, but that's enough from me. Let's get back into the book. So kind of normal things that we talk about, like, you know, we'll read kind of like this, I guess, this little summary here first, and then we'll go through kind of like our general reactions to the book and our feelings. Yeah, and then we go into like plot, characters, and then kind of music as a central theme. So I'm going to quickly read this. And then let's go into kind of how we felt about the book. So this is kind of like the little like thing on the inside here. So as England becomes enmeshed in the early days of World War II, and the men are away fighting, the women of Chilbury Village forge an uncommon bond. They defy the vicar's stuffy edict to close the choir and instead carry on singing, resurrecting themselves as the Chilbury Ladies Choir. This story tells the home front struggles of 5 unforgettable choir members, a timid widow devastated when her only son goes to fight, the older daughter of a local scion, drawn to a mysterious artist, her younger sister pining over an impossible crush, a Jewish refugee from Czechoslovakia hiding a family secret, and a conniving midwife plotting to outrun her seedy past. An enchanting ensemble novel that shuttles from small-town intrigue to romance to the heartbreaking matters of life and death, Jennifer Ryan's debut thrillingly illuminates the true strength of the women on the home front in a village of indomitable spirit. So that is their thing there. And I didn't know this was her first book. So that's something new that I learned immediately.
That's interesting because that's not what it says on the back of mine.
It's different, huh?
Yeah, mine's different too.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter on mine. It's just like a tiny little paragraph.
I honestly, I wonder if it's just because they have to write it because it's for a different audience.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Publishers are catering to different.
Yeah.
And I guess too with the paperback, they've probably got more words from people saying like, "Oh, wonderful, terrific," or "Best book I've read this year."
Mm-hmm.
You know.
All right, Karen.
They don't have no room back here for all that.
Yeah, Karen, why don't you start us off? What were your thoughts and feelings on this book?
I like this book. It gave me warm, fuzzy feelings of good. It was you know, it was one of those like easier books to kind of get into, and the characters were easy to follow. It was just, to me, it was like a popcorn book.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just, you could just eat, and then it was good. And I did get emotionally invested with people too, which was nice. I liked it. Overall, yes. Uh-oh, have we lost Amanda?
No, I think she's still there. I think she's like cutting in and out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll have to see.
What do you think, Matt?
Okay, I'll go next, I guess. Okay, so I totally agree with you. This book was really easy to read, and it was actually really lucky because the book I had read earlier, previously, Margaret Atwood's Hagseed, was also really easy to read. So I was like, popcorn book and popcorn book. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And it wasn't one of those situations where I was dealing with like a gigantic world, right? It was a small town, and just from the get-go, I was like, okay, it's going to be a small town, meaning there's going to be like maybe 50 people, 30 people in this town. It's going to be a small town, and it's going to be like just a small group of characters, and then you get to know them really, really well. I really liked how it was journal entries. I didn't know that, or diary entries. So I was reading this, and I was like, this is actually kind of cool because you got to read different characters' lives as they unfold, and some like as I guess to the end, a lot of the people's lives, they start intertwining and they start talking about the same situations, and then you get to hear like maybe even like, you know, 2 different people's perspective on the same situation, the same scenario, and how they felt about it. So that was really, really cool to be able to kind of like, hey, look, this is kind of nice, be able to hear kind of all these different kind of voices. I think the flow was really easy. And I mean, like I read I read this in like 4 days, and I was scared that I wouldn't finish it in time, but like I said, it was so quick to read. And there were definitely parts that I enjoyed, although we'll get like to it later. I felt like the ending was really rushed, but we'll get to that later. But I'm good. We have Amanda back. So Amanda, can you, how are your thoughts? What were your thoughts on the whole thing?
Overall, I thought it was actually a very kind of sweet, nice little read, mostly because we just came off the losers in the last one, and my head spun a little bit. But this one, being able to like put it down and pick it up and be like, I know exactly where we are. Like, a really nice refresher for me. As for characters and whatnot, I think there's a few that I really liked. And there's a few that I kind of warmed up to. And there was a few that I was just kind of like, I just want you to die now, for lack of better words. But you know what? Overall, I actually really liked it, mostly because having something like this in the beginning of like a school year was great, because it kind of gave me something to like, okay, I'm done with school. I need to read something else. And this was a nice read other than, you know, parent emails and things from my principal. So I really actually enjoyed it. It
was a good brain break. It was.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think, because The Losers was really hard to read, and also The Mambo Kings. That was the book that we read before. There was a lot of like, the thing was, there was a lot of historical context in that one. So a lot of times I was like, oh, I should know about this stuff, but I don't know any of this stuff. So I had to like constantly be like, okay, what is this song? What are they talking about? What is this genre? How does it sound? For this one, it was just like, I could just read it and know nothing about England, you know?
And there's no flashbacks. It just went. It was great.
Yeah, which is nice. Cool. Hey, so I think generally we actually all like this book. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
the first in a very long time, I think. So I guess let's go into plot. I guess the plot's really simple, right? There's not that much going on. I mean, I think I don't usually read these types of books because, like, for me, I found that the plot was really easy to predict.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. So I was like, okay, all right. So I just had to follow this whole situation, and like, I don't know. Like, I think the only thing that really kind of bugged me about the plot was how like the characters were. I mean, it's not really plot, but because the characters were very stock characters, the plot was very stock plot. Like, I was like, okay, like the vixen who, you know, sleeps around a lot, she's going to fall in love with this man and she's going to get pregnant. You know, spoiler, she does, right? And then like this timid lady who like has like heart of gold, she's going to stand up and like, you know, stick it to the man, and she literally sticks it to the man, you know? Right? And like there's small things here and there, and then like, you know, like the whiny little brat she's just a whiny little brat.
Yep.
You know, she's just like, I'm just a younger sister, but like, you know, like I can be better than like my older sister. I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
But you know what? As much as they were sort of stock characters in the sense of like you have these roles for them, they still, to me, felt like they were full.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They didn't feel cardboard. They actually felt like they had their own feelings, and we felt for them, or we had some sort of empathy towards them. Which could have easily been the other way. They could have been the stock boring characters.
Yeah. And in some ways, some of the things that they go through. Sorry, I'm hearing myself back. It's kind of weird. Some of the things like you can relate to, like with Kitty and being enamored by somebody who doesn't care about you. I think we've all kind of been there in some ways where like, I have a crush on this person, or I really like him, or I really like her, or whatever. And that affection is not returned, or being bullied by somebody who is superior, like the father or a teacher or just another big kid at school. So in some of those situations, you do feel that empathy, because I think we've all been in some of those situations, if not all of them. So I know that we can't relate to everything, but for me, it helped seeing those things and be like, oh, I went through that. Oh, I know what she's feeling right now. Oh, I know what he's feeling right now. So that kind of helps with like the liking of the book.
Right. I guess my problem is just because I read high fantasy where all my favorite characters die, horribly, or like, there's always unrequited love, things never work out like that. I was just like, everything was just so neat and tidy at the end. I just,
Yeah.
There was unrequited love, and there were deaths of people that made me so excited. So
when Prim died.
Oh my, so sad. Sorry.
And I just like,
teacher.
No, it's just like, I mean, like just in passing, right? Just like, oh, by the way, we lost Prim. I was like, no, I liked her more than Hattie. I didn't care if Hattie died. I knew she was gonna die in that bomb.
Probably.
But I was just so sad. I was like, and of course, like the trickster. What's her name? Is her name not Clara? Elsie.
Edwina.
Edwina, yeah.
Edwina.
Or something like that. I can't remember. But like, of course, she survives, right? She has to survive because she's like kind of the only kind of like.
But that's
bad thing that happens in the whole book.
That's what the war was, right? You didn't get to choose who lived and who died, and in our brains, we kind of go, "Oh, well, you deserve to live and deserve to die." It was, people like in the peak of their lives, and then they just weren't there.
Yeah.
So, and it's the thing that I like about it is it's that small town
feel.
They're lost, and they know their town dynamic, but there's been the shakeup of the war, and they're sort of trying to find their footing, and the choir is sort of the central focal thing.
Yeah.
Puts the positive spin on everything. There's all the stuff that happens around it, but I like that the choir is the thing that is the binding agent.
Yeah. I actually really like that it was set in a small town, as opposed to like it was set in London, in like one of those big gigantic towns. So having in this little one kind of gave that intimacy where you can just kind of focus in on those like 6 people. So like Poon said, like when Prim dies, you're like, what? Because the town's so small, and taking one person out is such an impact. So I like, so that for me was like, oh, no.
Well, and especially since she was the driving force behind reforming the group into a ladies choir, right? It was her idea. It was her idea to put them into the competition. Like, because of that idea, she won. She was giving music lessons to Kitty, and she was kind of just bringing out all this positive energy. And she was being such a support to Mrs. Tilling, right? And all of a sudden, she's just gone, right?
Yeah.
I wonder...
She's the reason why they went that extra step. Is that she inspired them to go there, but then her death further took them.
Well, she's essentially like, her character is essentially the catalyst to the change, right? Because she's a new person, she is not tied to the traditional way of things or the conventional way of things. She doesn't understand that Mrs. B calls the shots all the time, right? She doesn't care about those things. She just wants to make good music, and she wants to bring people together, and she wants to use this as like a positive force. And she doesn't care if there's a certain pecking order, because that doesn't matter to her. And because of her, it allows these characters to find feelings in themselves, or like reveal things that were laying dormant.
Yeah.
I like
Sorry, I spoke to Kron like for a minute earlier about like, oh, did you like it? I kind of liked it. Oh yeah, I liked it too. And I don't know if you said it or if I actually thought this up myself. Like, I feel like you said it, that Prim is like the Mrs. Frizzle.
Oh yeah, she was totally a Miss Frizzle.
Yes.
She's like Mrs. Frizzle, where she's like, you know what? Things happen. Let's just take the positive thing in life and let's just do it. Let's just try it. Let's just give it a try. Let's try this. And I'm like, that is so accurate of her character. She's like a Mrs. Frizzle in World War II Chilbury.
Yeah. I mean, like on the side, since we're talking about Miss Frizzle, have you guys seen the new reboot of the Magic School Bus
Not
where
yet. I've seen
Miss
that.
Frizzle,
No,
where the original Miss Frizzle gives the keys to the new?
Oh, I heard about that. I haven't seen it.
No.
Don't watch it?
X-nay, nah. We do not need a hotter Miss Frizzle, okay? We don't, like, it's like Dora when she grows up as a
I think
teenager.
it's her sister.
Yes.
The thing that I see, this is a total tangent. The thing that I didn't like from it, I'll have to actually watch it, is from what I gathered, the new Miss Frizzle, the sister, she doesn't actually know what she's doing. She's just kind of like, oh, let's just see what happens here. And the whole point of Miss Frizzle was that she already knew, but she was letting them figure it out.
Guiding along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, see, I would rather that as a teacher instead of like, oh, what does this button do? Oh, oops, now you're all in the ocean. Terrible
So,
teacher.
like, essentially, she's like a babysitter now, right?
Awful though.
No, I mean, but okay, end of tangent. Back to the book.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but you can go and look it up on Goodreads. There's this blog post by Jennifer Ryan where she says that Prim was inspired by her piano teacher.
Oh.
And like just that passion that she gave, and of course, you know, she says stuff like, you know, she looked completely different and she was kind of different, but the inspiration was the passion for music and how she made them come in and pronounce piano like piano, you know, like it was just like this. And I'm like, oh, I got warm feelings all over again.
Yeah. But like I said, like that's why for me, I was just like, okay, these are very stock characters. Like she is the catalyst for the change, but she also embodies something that's completely different than this. Like this town is very prim and very proper, right? Pecking orders and everything, and she's just this tornado of a person, right? She's just like she's lost and loved before, and she has all these trinkets, right? And she always comes in like a blur of energy, right? And she's always positive, but like in a real down-to-earth way, right? And she just sees the good in everyone, and you're just like, why did you die?
And then having your house blown up.
Yeah.
That broke my heart. I'm like, not only did you kill the character, but you blew up her house.
Yeah.
Why would you do
I wanted to be a fly on the wall in the lesson with
Kitty?
Yeah, no kidding.
Prim is giving her like the positive, like, oh, try it like this and try it like this and try it like this. But then her sister's giving these like bitchy responses of like, she's like warbling and your screechy high voice. I'm like, okay, does she actually sing well?
Yeah.
Like what is her actual tone quality?
Yeah.
Because we're getting, you know, the bias of the sister and then the bias of Kitty's self, and Kitty's self-worth is like, oh, the teacher said I was really good. And you're like, well, are you though? I don't know. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
It was just the way that, you know, she made her feel good about what she was doing.
No kidding.
Let's move into the characters, since I don't think there's really much to talk about for plot.
Not so. Everybody
okay.
The plot. Okay, the plot in a nutshell is there's war. They make a choir. People die. They go and they sing in a choir competition, and then
they're good.
And they're it.
Yeah.
And there's the little
all loose ends are tied up, you know.
I think
there's little other things like so and so got pregnant, and then whatever, and then the baby switch thing.
The plot. I think the plot is more character based rather than
yeah.
Which is why I kind of want to just jump into it, since like the characters really drive the thing. So we all love Prim.
Yes.
Who else do we love?
I really loved Mrs. Tilling.
You know what? She's a really minor character, but I really liked Sylvie.
Oh yeah, you know what?
I really liked Sylvie because she is actually the only one who is like completely innocent in the on all the drama. She's the little kid who's the evacuee. We find out so much further in the book that her parents can't be found. Her brother is off somewhere, and she's just here trying to, you know, make a life out of this place that she doesn't know. And she's the only innocent. And I loved her because you had those little snippets of her diary, and she's like, I am happy now, or I am sad, or it's just so straightforward and just innocent. And I loved that about her. her. I actually really liked her.
Well, and
one of the aspects that I did like, sorry, Matt, is that we had the, is it 10, was she 10?
11 or something like that.
Up there, 10, 11, yeah.
Kitty. Then we had like the 20-year-old
Venetia.
And then we had, you know, like Mrs. Tilling was later in life, and you know, like we had those
was later in life.
different ages. It wasn't just the 16-year-old and the 20-year-old. We had the broad spectrum of ages. Sorry, Matt.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, like, especially like for Sylvie, like something that was really awesome was, even though she was really young and she was very direct, she was very smart though. She was very intuitive with how people felt. Like, she was like, Henry doesn't like you, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like she knew all these things because she could just feel it.
He told me he was going to marry me.
Yeah, see, which is why I don't like
engaged.
Yeah, because I mean, I mean, Amanda already knows, and everyone knows, I'm not a big fan of Kitty. But considering she's 13, it makes sense why she felt the way that she felt and did the things that she did.
Yes.
I will say that.
Yes.
I will say, out of all the characters, I don't know if I really have one that I like super liked, but I think Mrs. Tilling, just because when I started reading about her and how she started coming out of her shell, I immediately pictured Mary Poppins in my head for some reason.
Oh, that kind of makes sense.
Right? She's like, he will never hurt you again, right? Not anymore. And then she just does all this cleaning, and she's always like the positive, like she becomes the village, right? She becomes the spirit of the village, right? And I was like,
when the Colonel Mallard, the duck, when he came in, I was visiting my parents while we were doing this, and I'm like, Mom, Mrs. Tilling and Colonel Mallard, I ship them so hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, if they don't end up together, I'm gonna be so mad.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, it's
but I know. I mean, and the thing was, like, they do, right? And it's like, and it's so cute because like this whole I can't just allow myself to kind of sit idly by and not take control of my life anymore. Right? I've spent so much of my years making other people happy, and I want to start making other people happy. And like for me, I was like, okay, like like I think maybe I'm just not used to this whole warm, mushy feeling like that you're supposed to get from these kinds of books. But I was like, because at the end, I was just like, oh, you're leaving? Okay, I guess whatever.
It does feel weird because she goes, oh, I'm going to take care of myself, and I'm going to stand up for myself, and then go with a man.
Yeah, because, okay, here's the thing.
It feels weird that way, but she has to go through that change in order to say to herself, I can be with somebody else. I need to do this for me, to love somebody, and not stay at home, worry about my son, and mourn the loss of my former husband.
Yeah, but see, that was one of the like parts of the book where I'm just like, okay, I don't like, I understand this is such a positive energy that she has, but I don't see how this will work because she's the only person holding back the brigadier, and if she's not physically there in the village,
that's true.
People might disappear, right? But the brigadier shows up to their singing extravaganza, and he's like, I came here to see if you were screwing up and you were kind of okay. I was like, where's this positive energy coming from? You're supposed to be a douchebag. Like this does not seem real to me. You should be like angry the entire way through. You know what I mean? Like there should have been attempts on her life.
But you know what? I do have to say that this is, because I was just checking my phone for our book club books. So this is the first time where all the major characters are actually women, other than the Brigadier, which is actually pretty cool. Like I didn't realize it. And I went through and I'm like, hey, everybody's chick. That's awesome.
And what's really cool is that some minor characters have diary entries as well. So like, for example, there's that one part where like Elsie has sex with Henry, and they have like a quick aside, and then the Colonel also has one entry as well.
Yeah,
or two.
Letter. I think there's a letter to his sister. Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's two letters, I think. The first one is complaining about how Miss Tilling is just a bitch, and the second one is worrying about her, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The thing so you brought this up earlier, Matt. That letter reminded me of the perspective thing, where you had Mrs. Tilling being like, oh, he came in, he was so grumpy, he stomps upstairs, and he's like, I don't want to eat. And he sends a letter, and he goes, oh, she was so crabby. She goes, oh, we eat this at this time, and I'm going to feed you this, and if you're not here, I'm not going to feed you.
Like, I was only like late for an hour.
I love the perspective thing where you get one person sees it one way and the other person shows you the other way, and you're like, okay, but what actually happened?
Yeah, and the cute thing was just like they have this dynamic, and all the children are like, why are they so mean to each other?
It's like schoolyard. It's like schoolyard romance. Like, you're mean because you like them.
Yeah. Well, I think for both of them, it was the defenses were up.
Yes. Because they both lost their significant other, right? Like, his wife died and her husband died. So that whole fear of getting close to somebody.
Oh, hey, also really cool thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe like, I mean, this book, obviously it's not historically accurate. It's very revisionist history. But I think there was that one part where she delivers the ring back to Barrington.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. That's like a feel-good book for me.
Yeah, but that was the first time. But that was the first time she stood up for herself. Like, I mean, she stood up for him and the dead partner, but she really stood up for herself, because she's like, I don't see why this is a problem. I don't see why you're treating your son like this. He is not a vile creature. He is a son. He is a human. He has feelings, and his friend who just passed away is someone very dear to him. You have to acknowledge that, right? But it was her starting to build up like her arsenal to like start fighting back, not just for the people that she cared about, because like they end up being friends, but for people, like for herself, right? And being like, it's okay to be different. It's okay to stand up for yourself. Women should be allowed to do these things. We shouldn't just do whatever. Like, yeah. I thought that was a really cool like incident, because like there was like that like really tense part where she goes in and she's like, I don't know how, like, I don't even know if this is the correct son. Right? Right, because like the only reason why she kind of had an idea was because someone was like, well, you know, like hush 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 on the bus, was it? Like, you know, like, do you know about all the stuff that he does? Like, there are like stories about the things that he does with, you know, other people, right? So she didn't even know what was going on, and being like kind of thrusted into that story. And similarly, how she was like the whole Colonel situation was like thrown into her world, right? It just sounds like for her it was cool to see that she took it in a way that, even though I don't think would have been the mindset of people at the time, but she took it in a way that I would have appreciated my main character to have taken it.
Yeah.
Right? Open-minded, loving, and just realizing, no, I should not judge, because I'm dealing with my own things as well. And these are just people. We're all just people, and this war is screwing everything up.
Because there's somewhere in the book when they're like, the men are all gone. Who's around to tell us no anyway? Not that we should follow it anyway. It's like, the men are gone. The town is kind of ours. We can do whatever we want. And it's kind of cool to see them, even though Mrs. B was like this all the time, where she's just like a crazy, like, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this. But I think...
Oh, she was unsufferable.
She was unsufferable, but it's kind of nice that it was interesting, because when you first meet her right off the bat, and she's introduced in like that first chapter, and she's like, well, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and this isn't right, and blah, blah. And then she just kind of like fades away in the book, which is kind of nice.
Well, she personifies the old town and how things used to be, right? And Mrs. Tilling is the new town and the new spirit of the town. And that's why, like, over the course of the book, like the power, shifts, right? Yes. And Mrs. B just becomes a naggy old lady, essentially. And
we all know those.
But I mean, she kept true to her naggy bitchy self the entire way through.
Yeah, right? And she was just like a weird 360 in the middle.
No, she hated everything, and then when things went well, she took all the credit.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
It's true. But the people who knew, and they didn't care. They were like, whatever, let her take the credit.
Question for you guys: did you have this at the end? Did you have this at the end of your book? Did you have this a look inside the Chilbury Village thing?
No.
No.
You didn't have, oh, really? Okay. So there is extra material at the end of this book, of my copy. It's got a conversation with the author.
Oh.
It's got recipes, and it's got a look inside the village of Chilbury. So it gives you like the whole town laid out, and then it gives you like the little mini descriptions.
Oh, nice. I have it here too, like the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one is just like, it just tells you what everything, it's really cool because I read it at the end and I'm like, oh my God, everything is so much more vivid now because it's giving me a description of it. I was just wondering if you had it.
Yeah, because the thing is like, so we know that the Brampton Manor and then the Chilbury Manor has history, right? But the house that Mrs. Tilling lived in also has history.
Yeah, there's Ivy House in here.
Yeah, but like we didn't really talk about, like we know that like her husband, was her husband a doctor? I can't remember.
Veterinarian.
Veterinarian, yeah, but like there was history with that house. There was a reason why they were living in that specific house, right?
Yeah.
But like, you know, there's a reason why it's called Church Row and all this other stuff. But we just never really got to know. Like we knew that a lot of the architecture was old and, you know, from a certain time period, but we only knew that after the bombers came in and like bombed Litchfield Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all this stuff, the stone masonry and all this stuff was actually quite, like, it was old architecture, like antiquated architecture.
If you think about it, if these are people's diaries, like how much do you talk about the structure of your building?
It's true. And
unless it becomes a thing, which is okay, everything was bombed, and it's like, oh, those beautiful old buildings.
Yeah. But I think with this book, it's all about like, what does this place feel like? Like the Ivy House is always a place where you are warm, you're comfortable, you feel welcome. And then the manor was like this uppity little jerk off who parades around, I need to have a son, I need to have a son. And all that, so it's always about the feeling, right? So it's so connected with the characters. So every time they say, oh, we're gonna go to Ivy House, I'm like, oh, okay, they're gonna be comfortable and warm by a fireplace with some tea. And then they go to the manor, it's like, oh, they're gonna get their asses handed to them because the Brigadier is a jerk and whips his daughter. So
yeah. But I mean, here's the thing. The thing is, I was okay with his character because it was believable right up to the very last point of the book when he did like a minor, like, oh, I actually have a heart, you know, because my daughter actually sings well, you know, but you're never going to be a singer. Like it just didn't believe me. Who I didn't like was Alistair, because he was not believable. So if you're an undercover agent, right? If you're an undercover agent and you've done a lot of work for the Secret Service, why the hell would you have a relationship with a person in the town? That makes absolutely no sense. Like,
fell in love.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't believe him. I didn't care for this person.
You're so good at flirting, okay?
Right? Because
draws me nude and it doesn't look like me at all. Awesome.
But you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
For his background, like I get that the whole like it's all about love because like the love changes him and it changes Venetia, but it just wasn't believable. So for me, I just didn't like him at all.
I thought it would have been better if he had actually been a part of a smuggling ring, like smuggling or something. That to me would be a little bit more believable. With the like, oh no, wait, he is smuggling, but he's a good guy, so don't worry.
But I mean, like it's like he's a secret agent pretending to be a smuggler, pretending to be an informant, pretending to be an artist. You know, he is like the 007, right, of all this stuff. Or like the Mission Impossible, except he falls for the first girl that like twiddles her dress for him in like the town. Like that just doesn't. I just
dress off and
yeah, that's true.
Right, and I'm just like
was very aggressive.
She was aggressive. If she was like 20 years older, she'd be a cougar. 40, 30.
Hey, she wanted what she wanted, right? But here's the thing. I don't.
It was a bet.
Yeah, but I don't blame her for it. I don't blame her for it because that was her whole ploy to get him, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you're a horrible Secret Service agent. You should just die. Like you are a liability.
Always be good.
Right? You're a liability to Great Britain. You know.
Yes, but he uncovered that whole smuggling ring. He was
with the Germans, yeah.
He was like amazing.
But here's the thing. The thing is like that could have gone completely like awry if he didn't blow his own cover because somehow Kitty found out.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's where this book is like, it's a feel-good book.
Yeah.
You're not going to go there because everything has to be neat and tidy at the end.
It does, yeah.
It's meant to be one of those books, right?
Yeah. And that's why for me, I felt like the book was kind of a little rushed towards the end. Like pretty much once the bomb hit Litchfield Park, which was like kind of like 85% of the book, right? Like 85% of the way through, she had like maybe 50 pages to just wrap everything up. And like there were a couple of things that was just like, first of all, like Alistair coming back kind of, for me, ruined Venetia's whole like transformation and her whole journey, right? I was like, you didn't actually need to come back. She was already a transformed character. She was already a better person. She learned more about herself. She had gone through all this trauma and survived. You didn't need to come back at all. She was already a great character, number one. Number two, the whole Ralph Gibbs thing, like stealing the money and then buying the really nice manor and then the maid marrying him. And then that was totally fine, even though he's like PTSD psychotic.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I didn't get that. I just think it's like, oh, like he's a terrible person. His mom has no idea what to do with him. And all of a sudden he buys a nice house and she's like, I'm just going to close my shop and never work again. I'm leaving my boy. He's going to take care of me. I was like,
yeah.
See, it made me wonder almost like if the author needed something to happen, so she had to create a character to do that thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense, where she needed a couple of antagonists, some people who were, you know, like the not good people, to just kind of add a little bit of tension. And
but I mean, she could have just cut out that whole Ralph Gibbs thing at the end. Like, we didn't even need to know about him buying the house. No one would have given a care, right? But like, yeah, it was just so neat and tidy in the end. I was like, ugh. And then like the whole the brigadier being all emasculated. So then that way, all of a sudden, because he's emasculated, like all of a sudden they can dance around in the house again. They can listen to music. They can laugh, and my mom can be my mom again. And I was just like that. I was like, actually, I feel like he like in that situation, if I was the brigadier, having known having hated women, and just like I would have just shot them all.
I don't think he hates women. I think he's just used to being in charge.
Control.
Yeah, in control. Very type A.
Yeah.
Of the times.
Yeah.
The man is the man of the house, and ain't no woman gonna like tell the man what to do. He makes the decisions, and I think that's sort of what he represents is the old, like, this is the very strict.
Yeah.
This is done now. Colonel Mallard is like the balancing of that, to be like, okay, not all men.
Yeah.
Right?
Are big, tall, and brutish.
Super abusive, misogynist, like beats his daughters, hates his daughters, and then you have like, oh, Warm and Fuzzy has daughters and loves them, he's an ally. Like, they're meant to oppose each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, also another character that was very unbelievable was Miss Paltry, the person who switched the babies. So like you're led to believe at the very beginning of the book that she's done it a lot. She's very experienced in doing this, and then she just screwed this entire thing up.
No, I thought that she does it lots, but she always mixes up. So she moves to a town, she screws something up, she moves to another town.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
It's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, I always have an issue with Venetia and the whole Venetia Alistair thing, because in the beginning she's like that snobby, bratty, like I get what I want and I can have any man that I want, and all of a sudden she falls in love with this guy, like immediately falls in love with him, even though it was all a bet. He's like, I bet you that I can seduce him. I bet this. I bet this. Oh, I'm in love, and I'm gonna have this baby out of wedlock. So it was,
I think the reason why some of the things were rushed, and I think that's because there were so many characters, is that in order to get everybody's perspective, it has to be in sort of bite-sized, palatable amounts.
Yeah.
And so you can't delve as deep as you want to go because there's so many people.
Yeah, and honestly, in the end, like the most important kind of, I guess, climax was just the whole like kind of implosion of Venetia's life, right?
Yeah.
Like her realizing that this is happening and that she doubts the person that she loves, and then going through this whole like, I should just say yes to Henry, and then that just blowing up in her face, you know, the miscarriage and everything, right? And just that, and then how people react to that situation, and how it empowers certain people, and how it fixes old relationships, like with her sister, right? Yeah. And like that stuff, like that was pretty much just like all that stuff. To that point, that was really the only thing we cared about was her journey, which is why for me it was such a disservice for Alistair to come back.
Yeah, she would have seemed like she had much more growth if it's almost the same thing as Mrs. Tilling, where it's like they grow, they realize that they're actually stronger than they thought they were.
And then
they demand.
Yeah.
And I mean, feminists, you know, you sometimes shy away from that. You're like, okay, we're not saying that people can't be happy.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to show us that they are stronger on their own, don't then give them a man. It sort of negates the growth.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The thing is,
a man means that you're like settling, right? It just doesn't work with the trajectory.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, like, okay, so let's say hypothetically, like, so Alistair does come back, right? I think if I was the character of Venetia, I would have done exactly the same thing. I would have run towards him, and because like I still love this person, right? But for me, like once we got to Mrs. Tilling and Mallard was like, why don't you just come with me? I think my reaction would have been like, no. I was like, oh, hey, you know what? Our feelings are real.
Yeah.
But my son comes first.
But her son's not there.
But you mean like the thing is like.
But her son can come back.
Yeah.
He's not dead. He's just away for war.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is like I think that empowering thing would have been like, you know what? Thank you so much.
But
I love you a lot. Why don't you finish your job and you come back and find me when you're done?
Yeah. Because you have this house that I kind of get it, where she's like, oh, but I have all these memories with my old husband in this house. Maybe I should find somewhere new to be. But at the same time, you know, it is the only house your son has ever known. You have the choir. You have all these people that depend on, like, how many times did Kitty come running to you during the book when she was freaked out about something? She always came to you. So you're like that old, I don't know, like just the mom of everybody. The mom that's caring and that's there. So now you're saying, oh, I'm going to uproot all that and then bye. But same thing. The same thing with what Poon said before with the Brigadier. Like, you've threatened this man several times.
Yeah, and then he shows up and he's there and you're there too and you don't kill him.
Yeah, right. And then now you're gonna and right, it's true. You're gonna leave. What are you gonna do what's he gonna do when you leave? Is he gonna take the whip to Kitty again, or actually go and slit Edwina's throat? Like, he threatened her life many times. So I don't know. It is kind of funny that.
But I think what like Karen was saying was just that, like, it's those storylines really don't matter. It's about the people, right?
It is about the people.
Yeah, and kind of how you feel about them. I think the fact that we're talking about this stuff means that we actually really care about these people.
Well, more than some of the other books we've read.
Yeah.
They certainly are easier to attach to.
Yes, definitely.
Because like I think like what's really good was because like they were all very personal. Right, like even the small, like even that one diary entry that Henry writes back to Elsie, it really gives you a scope of who he is, right? Because like first of all, like he explodes, and Venetia and Kitty get to see a completely different side of this character, but then we also see a completely different side too, something that they don't see, right? Is that actually he might not actually be a great person because he just had sex with this other lady, and this like whatever, it's a fling. Like, you know, it was only meant to be a one perfect night, you know.
He like slapped Venetia across the face, didn't he, or something?
Well, I mean, he was the reason why that she had that miscarriage. Right?
Yeah, he like threw her down, and she like hit the ground.
Yeah. So.
So not such a great guy, but then he married that. What's his name? Didn't she end up marrying Mrs. B's like daughter?
No. So she's no. Mrs. B is his mom.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. So
find somebody else.
It's like that. It's that important person. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a really like random.
Is it Miss Irving?
No, I don't think so.
I don't remember. It's okay.
It was just a random music, and I think Kitty was talking about, and she said that he ended up marrying this.
Oh, Lady Constance.
Yeah. This girl who wasn't exactly pretty, and she was kind of like actually kind of ugly, but he had to settle because
she was a bulldog. That's what they said.
Yeah, he was a bulldog. I was actually thinking.
I was like, that's so mean.
I was actually thinking of the Grand Bull from Pokemon Go. The one with like the big like underclothes.
No. So Lady Constance is the daughter of Lady Worthing, who is like the Lady of Lichfield.
Yeah.
Right? So she's like the upper aristocrat that Mrs. B was sucking up to at the party. At the competition, because she was one of the judges.
So, what did you guys think about the music element of this book?
You know what? The music. You know what I really liked about this with the music element is that it is just that it brings people together. That was the kind of the really big thing about this. Like, you have this war, you have this drama, you have all this stuff, but you know what? You're all together and you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good. It elates you. It makes your heart feel better. It can make you cry. They can have all these emotions. That was the one big thing I really liked that this brought across, at least my thoughts on messaging, was that music can bring you together even in times of destruction and heartache.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's really cool was that when you go through the book and the portion of the book, like the 50 to 70% mark of the book, where there was a lot of individual turmoil, was when they weren't part of the choir.
Yeah.
Right? You had the choir at the very beginning, and people were being asked to come in, and they were going through traumatic experiences. But because of the singing, because of this camaraderie in this community, they were opening up to these ladies, and they were becoming stronger and helping each other, supporting each other. And all of a sudden, they found identity. Right? They're like, they're not just an individual lady. We are the Chilbury Ladies Choir, and we are going to handle this. And when things fall apart, it's when they're not meeting, when they're not together, when they feel like for example, Prim dies, and then the bombing and everything, all stuff falls apart. They're not meeting at the time, but at the end, they meet again, and then that community comes back together again. They start doing things for the community.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I liked the inserts of all of the moldy oldie hymns.
Yeah.
Because like every time there was one that was mentioned, I was like, oh man, I can just hear it now.
Exactly.
The old ladies behind me singing, holy, holy, holy.
It's a chorus. It's chorus over again.
No, and okay, hey, so do you remember the organist, Mrs. Beaton? I think. Yeah. I think that's her name or something like was it Agnes Beaton or something? So like she plays the organ for all of these church hymns and stuff, and then out of nowhere at the end of the book she's like, oh, I also know how to play jazz and Motown and ragtime, so we can sing Blue Moon, we can sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, because I know how to read jazz.
And you're like, what?
I was like, I want this lady to be my grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
She was hiding all this skill.
But that's what happens when you're under the thumb of Mrs. B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to perform the role. We've always
Amazing Grace is not appropriate enough for this.
Yeah. No, I think it's a different type of music as a theme is very different here than it was in the Mambo Kings. So in the Mambo Kings, it was an occupation, right? So it was a past life of a person, right, that they reminisce back on. So it was more like, it was for them a curse, because they had to constantly remember how good they used to be, right, and how they're just trying to struggle and they never worked. Here, it's very present.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not an occupation. It is a passion. It's very, very different, I feel.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, even though this was probably the fluffiest read out of, lack of a better word, probably the fluffiest read of everything we've had, it is also, I feel like, the most accurate in some ways when it comes to music and the themes of music, because I know that you guys will also have the same thing that I have, where sometimes you hear something and you will start tearing, or your heart feels full, or you're like, I have to sing along, or you want to dance. And this, having that like encompassed in the characters of the book in a lot of ways, like this is actually what music does to people. This is accurate of so many people and how they feel when they hear that one song, or they dance to that one dance, or they sing that other song or whatever, as opposed to like some of the book ones we read are just so literal. Like thinking of The Loser and thinking, I'm not gonna, you know, we're all music students. I don't sit down and study this to the note and the intervals and whatnot, but I cry when I hear certain songs. I say when I hear, what's the one that begins The Lion King?
Circle of Life.
Circle of Life. Okay, literally when I hear the Broadway version of that, I tear every single time. I tear and I want to cry every time. Don't know why. So for me, this was the most accurate when it comes to representing music as a theme, if you know what I mean.
It's kind of almost, so for us, we love Prim because essentially we are Prim. We are the music teachers who want to inspire people to go out there, make themselves vulnerable, come together as a team and create beautiful music.
Yeah.
We want that of people, but only because we have had that. We've had those experiences where when you play with other people, when you sing with other people, suddenly your heart feels a little bit bigger.
Yes.
And
when you hear your group play.
Yeah.
At the end of the year at the grade 7s, I hear them play. I'm like, oh, I did something. Yay! It's my job for another year.
Or the joy of seeing somebody else's joy of succeeding.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, the scene where they first sing, the power goes out, and
the candles come out.
The candles. Oh my God, okay, I cannot read it because I kept crying. I was like, can't breathe. Crying. I'd be like, stop it. So I'd like close the book, put it down, wipe away the tears, open it again. I'd be like, oh my God, it's not good. I can imagine that moment, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like because the power goes out. It's the singing together in the dark, stripping it away and making it so pure that it becomes about that moment.
Yeah.
Rather than the end.
Yeah. And I think for us as teachers, it's like those moments like you said, Karen, those moments when you see somebody succeed. So having Miss Tilling find her confidence, or Kitty realizing that she actually could sing despite what her dad thought. It's like having that kid that says, I suck, I suck, I suck, I suck. And then after however long the battle, you're like, actually, they say, I don't suck that much. I'm working on it. I'm succeeding. It's slowly getting better. Like it's that aha moment that you always wait for.
Yeah, and just knowing that no matter what, like you have the support of that choir behind you.
Yes.
Right? Like every single time they describe singing, it's always like, you know, someone singing, and then all of a sudden they feel the energy from behind, and they grow together, and they become a stronger voice, and they soar together, and they feel everything together, and it's like that whole like sense of community, the whole sense of working together and collaborating on something it's exactly what these characters needed at this time for them.
Yeah. See, that's why, so when I went and found that blog post about Prim being inspired by a piano teacher, I said, there is no way that she has not taken some sort of music or been a part of a group, because the only way you can capture that exact moment is if you've had it. And it was like the opposite in Bel Canto, where it was like some mystical thing. You're like, it's not mystical. It's not. But if you haven't experienced it, you haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
So I was like, she has to have done music. And I was like, she did piano. Okay, she gets it.
Or she's felt that. She's had that emotional response to it. Like she's experienced it in that way that she can actually write about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody, we all need one of these every once in a while. This was such a great, like,
this was good.
Feel good, heart good book.
Yeah, no, it's a really cute book because like I said, it was just really easy to read,
it's and good for the time of the year.
Yeah.
It's a good time of year to read it.
Yeah. I mean, speaking about picks of the year and stuff, it's my pick for next time. Segue. Yeah, and
Segue. I don't have mine yet.
It's okay.
I the library. Just came in.
Mine's getting delivered soon.
It's okay. I got this in Tofino, actually. I was at a bookstore up there called the Mermaid Tales Bookshop, and I found 2 books that were music related, and I read the synopsis of both of them, and I found this one to be a little bit more interesting. But this is Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeline, I think her last name is Tien, or Thien. She's Malaysian-Cambodian writer, and it's set in Vancouver in 1990. And it's about, I think there are 3 different characters, and it's their lives intertwining and dealing with, like, you know, music and identity and everything. But it's a Canadian, I think it's a Canadian writer as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't read any of the reviews because I didn't want to ruin anything, because sometimes they sneak in spoilers. But that is my pick. It's a little bit long. It's mine's like over 400 odd pages, almost close to 500. So hopefully it won't be a slog to read. Which we're doing.
Yeah.
But
I like that it was also shortlisted for the Man Booker.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard. I read that it's up for awards.
Yeah, she won the Governor General's Literacy Award for this.
Yeah.
So, and the Scotiabank Giller Prize. So, like, it's, you know, it's toted, and people really do like it. So I hope we like it.
I started reading it, and I've already had a dream about it.
Oh.
Wow.
Nearly, it's like, okay, like I read maybe 20 pages.
Yeah.
And I'm already thinking about it. I'm like, oh, okay.
So,
hey. I don't know if you guys can read Simplified and that was the other one.
Traditional?
Yeah. There's like cool little bits of like symbols in there and stuff. And I'm like,
cool.
Oh, this is fascinating. This would be so much better if I could actually read it.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I see some of this. This is really cool.
But she explains it.
Yeah.
She explains it as she goes, and she.
Oh, that's good, because I probably
built, and like there's just really cool things. Right now, there's not a lot of music, but I'm way more fascinated about the Chinese language than.
Oh, this is so cool.
I'll let you know when I get my copy. It's coming in soon. It was actually like super cheap on Amazon for a little bit, or on Indigo.
Yeah, mine came in a lot sooner than I expected it to, because I put mine on hold and it was like, you have 14 weeks. I was like, no problem. End of October. It's like, hey, it's in now. By the way, there's like 79 copies at the library.
That makes sense.
Oh, this is so okay. So guys, okay, I mean, let's not geek out too much about this book because we're going to read it later. But like, if you can see right here,
yep,
that's Jianpu. I know how to write that. This is simplified notation in Chinese music writing.
Oh, cool.
It's so cool that's page 33 for me. But Karen, if you don't know how to write this, I will teach you how to do this. This is the easy, like you can just write this on pieces of paper, and it's just
numbers.
It's numerical notation. It's really cool. I'll show you how to do it. It's really cool. It saves you so much paper if you're just writing down a melody of some sort. But it's so cool. I'm so excited about this.
I'm so sad I live on the mainland now.
The only thing.
I have a guest room right here, Amanda.
I know, but it costs like $100 to come over every time.
I'll pick you up from the ferry. I'll pick you up from the ferry. You can leave your car over there, and I'll pick you up.
I'm trying to think of which weekend I'd be allowed to leave Max alone with Mike.
Maybe like Remembrance Day.
You know what? We'll be over in a couple of weeks for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And we're staying.
Wait, isn't Thanksgiving in 2 weeks?
Did I say?
It's next weekend, isn't it?
It's not. No, it's not. Yeah, it's not this upcoming weekend. It's like after. Yeah.
It's a weekend, so it's in 2 weeks.
It's in 2 weeks.
So
we'll be there in 2 weeks. And we're bringing the dog, and we'll be in a hotel, so you guys can come visit.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we should probably close this up because it is past 8. But this is our book. Thank you so much, Karen, for picking our previous book, The Chilbury Ladies Choir. It was a delight to read, and even though I didn't like some of the characters, it just showed how much I cared about the story and how much I cared about.
Was this the first book where we all feel pretty warm and fuzzy about it?
I think so.
What was there? No, okay. So I think this one and Basket Case was really fun to read as well, but for different reasons. But for different reasons, I think.
Okay.
I like chunks of Nocturnes when we read it, but not the whole book. I like chunks of it.
Yes, because I don't think we agreed on liking the same ones. We all had like a different order, right?
All different. I think this is the only one we all agree that we actually like.
Oh no! We like Strings of Murder. We all like Strings of Murder.
Oh yes. I have the second book.
No, if we had a book club where we were like, okay, I like this book. Oh, I like this book too.
Yeah. How boring would that be?
Totally boring. It's fun to have a debate.
So hopefully one of us will hate this book that I picked this time.
I already had dreams, so I already figured that I love it. So.
Okay, so Amanda, it's up to us to hate it then.
Yeah, it'd be ironic. I'd just say it'd be ironic if Poon ended up hating it. Be like, I regret this choice.
Oh my God, a Malaysian is writing about Chinese. It's not gonna work.
Hey, you know what? Maybe you never know, right?
Maybe I'll come on next time and be like, why Poon? Why?
Maybe. It is long. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for showing up. This is the end of our book club for this time. We will meet, I guess, in November. Like end of November. We'll figure out a time and we'll post about it.
November will be easier than December, yeah.
Okay, then let's do November, unless things happen. But anyways, you guys, have a good night. We'll see you guys later. Bye.